What's up everyone, my name is Cody Engel, and as you saw from the title and thumbnail of this video, we're going to talk about an overview of this project that I am starting up today and kind of get into just like the general steps that I take when I'm starting up any sort of new project. If you haven't seen already, a couple videos I've talked about wanting to build a new project in front of all of you on YouTube just to go over the software development lifecycle and all of that. This is like video 0 of that. This is me getting everything set up and kind of walking you through my thought process, which at this point in time, not too much. A lot of stuff is going to change, and that's kind of the point of this project. I'm not trying to get everything completely perfect from day one. I'm just trying to focus on what do I need to do to get started on this project today. And the first thing that I need to do really is actually set up a repository. And so actually, let's just do that right now. So first thing that I'm going to do is you can see I have a organization. This is kind of where I want to organize everything. This is going to be the name of the app. And this is going to be the URL for the app. And you'll see there are, no repositories at the moment. It's empty. So first thing that I really want to do is create a new one. So it's going to come here, create a new repository. And the way that I'm actually setting this up is I want this to be a mono repo to start out. May not be the best idea, but my thought process here is if a mono repo doesn't work out, it's probably going to be easier to break that apart as opposed to put it all together. Again, we'll see how that actually plays out in actuality. The name I'm going to give this is, I don't know, something stupid like mono repo. I'm sure I won't regret that in the future. And then the description, we'll just call it a mono repository for the front end and back end services. And that's actually another interesting thing if you're curious about how this project is going to be set up. So we're going to have a front end that is going to be built in Vue. It's going to be a progressive web app. Even though I know Android development, I really want to be able to use this in a browser. I want to be able to use it on iOS. And then there's people out there who own Android phones that may also want to use it. So as a single person working on a project like this, makes more sense just to build the UI in one spot right now. And progressive web apps, they've been something I've been interested in for a while. They seem like they would fit the bill. Yes, there are going to be limitations, and I'm going to talk about trade-offs in future videos and all of that, but that's where I'm starting. So Vue Js is going to be the front end. Have very little experience with that. Actually, you can look at my website. This is built in Vue Js, and as you can see, it does not scale well at all. It's pretty horrible. So hopefully I learned Vue Js as a part of this. We'll see. The backend services, those are going to be built out in Kotlin, primarily using Ktor because I love Kotlin. I've enjoyed Ktor in the past, so we're going to do that. So the next step when I'm creating a repository though is to decide, is this going to be public or private? And this is going to be private. Main reason why is I don't want to share everything, although I am like documenting a lot of stuff about this. I still just want to have it private, but in the future, depending on how this project goes, some stuff might be moved in to be public later on. If I have examples that I'm sharing throughout the project, I'll share those out as public gists, or I'll find some way to share it with you. So, but I just want to have some privacy while I'm building this out and all of that. So the other thing that I like to do is add a Readme file, because Readme files are great. They're a good way to document your project. Now, the other thing that it asks is whether or not you want to git ignore for this, since it is going to be a mono repo and there's no option to be like, well, I want Java and then JavaScript and like all of this. I'm actually going to say none, but if you're setting up a project and you're only going to be doing one coding language, or like Android, for example, or they have to have iOS, I'm sure, right? Do they not have iOS? All right, they don't have iOS. iOS devs, get wrecked, I guess. But Anyway, for the purpose of this, no git ignore template. For a license, this is private. So normally you would want to set up a license if this was going to be, say, open sourced or things like that. This is a private project, so there's no real sense to set up the license. Maybe there is, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but yeah, I'm not going to set up a license for this. And that's really it. So now I will click on Create Repository, and we now have mono repo, and it is a mono repository for the front end and back end services. Really great description. It's good enough for now though. So we also have main over here, and really what I'm going to be doing for this project is we're going to be following something called trunk-based development. I will pull that up for you right now. And really, like, the idea around trunk-based development is you have basically this one branch the whole team shares. The whole team is going to be me, which is why it also makes a lot more sense to do this. And then basically you will have yourself committing code to these branches. You can also create pull requests. I may or may not. This project also follows trunk-based development, and I don't really do pull requests. I just commit stuff, and then I will have the CI checks run, and if it breaks, then I commit something that fixes it. Again, I'm one person. If I break the main branch, I'm really only shooting myself in the foot. So not a big deal. We'll get into more about trunk-based development in a future video, kind of talk more about what goes into it. The next thing that we want to do as a part of the project setup is to actually pull this down and make sure that it works. So we will go ahead and do that now. So I like to use Git Kraken. I really don't use Git in the command line. When I do, I'm usually looking at a tutorial to like make sure that I'm doing things correctly. But for the majority of my days, I'm just pushing code or I'm rebasing, and using a GUI makes a ton of sense. All right, so now I'm going to clone a repository, and the way you do that in Git Kraken is you click on this nice little clone a repo button. Where does it clone to? That seems fine. And then for github.com, I'm just going to search for that one, and it didn't work. All right, so cloning a repo is by going to github.com. For whatever reason, isn't working. It's also easy enough though, just to come in here and then grab the URL, and then over here, drop that in, and then it figures out, okay, it's gonna be there. And for the full path, this is something I'm probably actually going to change up a little bit. We're gonna do Sines. We'll just do Sines like that. So it should hopefully clone to the right spot. We'll know momentarily. And so we open now, we can see the commit messages, which is just the initial commit that GitHub so kindly did for us. Okay, so we are in the Sines folder, and then we're in the mono repo, and we have a README. So cool. Project is now all set up, and that's gonna pretty much do it for this video. In future videos, I'm going to do the actual like setup of the front end. So like pushing something out there. So what does that look like? We're gonna be doing some CI/CD with that. And then when we stand up our first service, that's gonna be setting up Kotlin, setting up that aspect of this mono repo, and continuing to just go from there. I have no idea what's next past that, but probably the next video is going to be Vue, and maybe not even Vue, just like pushing up some sort of a landing page that people can go and visit. So that's it. That's the video. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.